Hi there, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of our podcast. We're going to dive straight in today. We've got quite a bit to talk about, um, and it's a bit of a storytelling session. So it actually came out of the last podcast, episode 15, where we're talking about kind of pivotal moments in our lives and how we use those pivotal moments, um, to change the way that either we think about things or the way that we do things in our lives today. And it actually raised this idea of actually turning what could be perceived as negative traits into superpowers. And in this scenario, it's talking about ego and resilience. Um, I think this is one of those podcasts where everyone could like listen to it and probably take the sentiment and turn it into their own story. But I know, Maurizio, you wanted to talk about that journey in terms of like resilient ego to resilience and actually how, what that means to you. But like I say, hopefully it'll just spark thoughts off in everyone's minds that's watching it. So yeah, if you want to take it away, and then I've got some questions that I'm going to ask you along the way.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. And I don't want to give it away. And this wasn't planned. I'm wearing my orange shirt today, but and I'm going to talk a little bit about my HubSpot days. Um, you know, uh, Back when I started at HubSpot, I was coming in from another gig where I was top performer. Uh, Best in class, if you will. I had a couple of, fortunately enough, I had a couple of managers like fighting for me, and they wanted me to make the move to their teams. And then HubSpot showed up. I interviewed there, and I got the sort of transition from BDR to account executive role. And fortunately, ego filled my mind and my spirit up. It got to a point where, and this is the first time that I'm actually talking about this. So I guess I hope that I come across as being humble here. I thought that I was better than everybody else just because I sort of was transitioning from a BDR to account executive position. Um, I heard from a couple of people that it was the first time that HubSpot had done something like that. And out of 1,300, 1,400 employee org, to be the first one to do that, I was young and stupid. Ego got to my head, and I thought that, as I said before in our last episode, I thought that I was good at sales and I thought that I was better than everybody else. And then reality hit me right in the face. And that's when I started to sort of like fight my demons, and confront my demons, confront that ego, and slowly but surely, like, turn that braggadocious, hey, I'm the best, to, putting my head down, putting in the work, and turning that into resilience. And then that turned from a I know everything, I'm the best, to going on a pip, to sort of having that fear of failure, that element of holy shit, I'm gonna get fired, when my team or the people that started with me, the onboarding class, they're getting promoted and I'm about to get fired. Um, there's this guy. I love this guy, Jesse Gonzalez. We developed an amazing friendship at HubSpot, and we even challenged ourselves to um, to hustle, right? And we would get to the office at 6:30 in the morning, and then the second one that got there, I was like, "All right, sounds like you fell asleep." It's like, where you been? Where you been? It's like, I've been here since six. It's 6:30. Like, so it was just a cool experience of, I guess, like dropping that ego and getting to work and putting the work and showing yourself that you could do better and you could be better. not
Yeah.
just for you, but also for the team, because that really, the ego element really doesn't help team culture and company culture.
So I think it's interesting that you talk about it in that sense of like confronting demons, and that, ego is a demon, because, there's an element to this that I think we're not great at leaning into as people, is, actually, what we perceive to be negative traits can be reframed. Like, it's easy to, it's actually probably easier to reframe something and give it a positive context and use it in a positive way as it is to retrain yourself to be a different kind of character and a different kind of person. And it almost sounds like, part of that confrontation was that self-awareness moment. It's like, okay, yeah, ego is not working in my favor right now, whereas actually having a bit of ego in the past may have worked to your favor and actually kind of carried you forward and propelled you in a different way. So, is it, I guess the question is, it like ego masked as resilience, or is it the ability to be able to take the best parts of ego and turn it into an even more positive trait, which is resilience? And I love the way that you kind of took us through that part of the story to say, well, actually, how did you break ego down? How did you find a running partner to be like, okay, we may both have been in this situation and now we've got to find how we get ourselves out of it. And the way you got yourself out of it was saying to someone around you, right, we're going to work as hard as each other, we're going to push each other. And actually, in doing that, we're going to probably retain the benefits of having a little bit of ego, but we're going to turn it into something way more positive. And, actually, I think that's like a kind of remarkable thing to be able to do, especially when, you're still relatively young and you're really working into an environment that you want to prove yourself in. Probably know you can do it. It's just about then forming part of that team. So again, like, let's dig into that a little bit further. You created your own little team with your running friend. That you had someone to go alongside with you to do it. Like, what happened in terms of like you two proving yourselves that changed the team, or like at least changed the team's perception of like what was possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that um, ego will always exist, and we always will have individually, collectively, um, an ego there, like the ego boost. But it's what you mentioned is like, all right, how do you master that ego to turn into resiliency, or you know not become that negative trait, and still be um, something where your team can lean on, and make sure that you can um, fight all the battles that you can fight, and do the best work that you can do.
Yeah.
So that sort of challenging ourselves really helped us to build this framework of work ethic, right? And also camaraderie, and bonding that was very positive, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, HubSpot LATAM was still an experiment. It was a young business unit. It was, it had a lot of questions that we needed to get answers to through hustle, and good work, and good results. And it was also a small team. So regardless the size of your team, um, the the stronger the collective, right? The potential, you have a better potential, or a bigger potential to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that, like think about you know the Spartans, right? Or the Romans, the the phalanx, or the turtle type um, of formations. They were incredibly successful, not because each each soldier was incredibly
Yeah.
resilient and powerful and strong. It was because they relied and they trusted their partner to the left and to their right and their left
Yeah.
enough with their own lives that they knew that the team, the collective, the unit was going to respond to whatever they needed
Yeah.
them to respond. So that's what we built. We built an incredibly resilient team, very trusting, very very tight knit. Actually, the team is famously known as La Familia, and we treat ourselves, like siblings. It's like, hey, we're in this together. This is it's up to us
Yeah.
to figure this out. Let's work together to make sure that that this is a successful story in our careers. So I think that's what's more special about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and just I think just pulling on a thread that's kind of come through here is that ego to resilience journey was also, and I talk about this a lot, and I know Jess probably gets fed up of me talking about it, but it's that element of show, don't tell. Like ego is almost driven by telling people that you can do things and telling, when you talk as a business, like businesses can have egos. Businesses can say, oh yeah, we can do this and we can do that. But then when it comes down to it, do they deliver? And I think resilience, the difference for me between that resilience and ego is that it's about showing people that you can do things. And as soon as you show people that you can do things and they experience what it is you tell them that you're going to be able to do, that's when people buy into it, because that seeing is believing. And it's like interesting listening to your story, because it was about that. You were going into an environment where you were telling people you were great at something. They might not have been able to see it. And then you started to really dig in. They started to see it and they were like, oh my God, like if he can do that, so can we. And that's then that element of like, you can take it forward. So I guess quickly to kind of wrap things up here in the last couple of minutes, what's the impact of that on a team? Like once you've got the ability to kind of show that you're all capable of doing things and just get the job done, how can that manifest?
I mean, breaking records and taking names. And you're always going to have folks that are going to put in their 110% and try their hardest. And sometimes you're going to get things right and it's going to be amazing. And sometimes things are not going to go your way, and that's fine too. That's part of life. I mean, your misses are going to be more than your hits,
Yeah.
right? So also that element of transparency, of openness, is a cornerstone of a resilient team. A team that is there when you win, but it's there even more when you're not so hot.
Yeah.
That to me is incredibly important. And personally, and what we also built as a team is asking ourselves on a weekly basis 3 questions, right? Is what do I envision that is going to go well this week? What do I envision that is going to be a challenge this week? And what do I want to learn?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the week is like, all right, what went well? What could have gone better? Or, what did I miss? And what did I learn? So it's this element of continuously getting better.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a tiny bit of ego to it, but it's more so resiliency. Is like, all right, I closed the biggest deal. Whatever. I hit my quota on the 15th. That's great. How can I now build in week 3?
Yeah.
My path to success.
Yeah.
For next month, the next quarter. So it's all about getting better every single day, and like putting one foot in front of the other and consistently matching your professional goals to your personal goals.
No, it's great. And I think what we'll do is maybe we dig into those 3 questions next time and we have a think about that as a session. We can ask those questions of ourselves and we can go through them in a live setting. So thank you again for joining us, everyone. Episode 16 done and dusted, and a really great story to share. Thanks, Maurizio.